Douglas Allen Bickford. It is 8:30 a.m. here in Klamath Falls, Oregon, my hometown. Broadcasting live from my 105-year-old house here. On today's date, which is the 20th of June 2022 at about 8:30 a.m. I don't know if I just told you that or not. Anyway, be positive. And I can tell you how you can be positive for the rest of your life. Okay? Comes from a book. It's called The Portable Therapist. Her name is Dr. Susanna McMahon. She has a doctorate in psychology. She also has a master's in philosophy. She's 73, lives in Madrid, Texas with her husband. This book, The Portable Therapist, was written 30 years ago. It was published in 1992. Every lesson in it talks about how we've been trained and taught. You can call it brainwash, folks. Not to love ourselves, not to have self-esteem, self-love, self-worth, self-confidence. And here's what self-esteem is. Most people don't even know what the two words even mean. In fact, it's a taboo subject. Nobody talks about it. When was the last time anybody asked you how you felt about yourself inside? Okay. So here's what it is. We've all been in romantic relationships. We've all had that good feeling. Okay. You're bragging to your friends. You're bragging to your family. You can't wait to sleep with them. You can't wait to eat with them. You want to be around them 24/7. That's what that good feeling is. And it feels really good. I've had it several times. But what self-esteem is, self-confidence, self-worth, self-love, is that good feeling like you have towards that other person, whether it's a man or a woman. Dr. Susanna McMahon, a psychiatrist, who has had thousands of clients because she was a therapist, a counselor, a psychiatrist for many years of her life. I don't know what she's doing now. People would hire her as a psychiatrist to fix their unhealthy minds, because what a psychiatrist goes to school for, which her doctorate's in psychology, they study the science of the mind and how it works. So people would hire her and pay her big bucks to fix their unhealthy minds. And as a psychiatrist, since she knows how the brain functions as much as she can, knew that her clients had to have self-esteem before they could get healthy-minded. And she knew that nobody was teaching it, even way back when, 30 years ago, folks. So she knew she had to come up with a concept to get her clients to get self-esteem. And the only way that you can get self-esteem is you have to do it. Nobody can give it to you. Okay. So she had to come up with a concept for her clients, to give themselves self-esteem so they could get a healthy-minded. And here's that very simple concept. It's called mirror therapy. Okay. She told her clients to say 4 things to themselves in the mirror daily without fail. I love you. I love my inner child. I'm worthy to be loved. I'm worthy to love. I am full of goodness. She told them to say those 4 things to themselves in the mirror daily for the rest of their lives, literally, in between their sessions. And it would give them self-esteem on steroids. And it did. It works. Okay, it worked on me. So, then it can work on you too. But you have to say it every day. You can't just say it a few times, okay? Call it good, because you'll lose it. And the reason you have to say it every day is it's like lifting weights. If you start lifting weights and you stop, you have to start all over again. Self-esteem is the exact same thing for the brain, okay? So you have to say it and keep saying it, literally for the rest of your life. It'll take you less than 10 seconds instead of criticizing yourself in the mirror, okay? Say, I love you. I love my inner child. I'm worthy to love, worthy to be loved. I am full of goodness. Less than 10 seconds, folks. That's all it'll take you, okay? And the reason she come up with mirror therapy, because she's a psychiatrist, she knows how the brain functions. She knew that we can't lie to ourselves in the mirror. And that's why mirror therapy is so powerful. And that's why you can very easily get in front of the mirror and say bad things about yourself. Because that's how you feel about yourself. You can't lie to yourself in the mirror, say good things to yourself in the mirror, because that's not how you feel about yourself. So you'd be lying to yourself in the mirror. So the very first time you do it, you'll have to force yourself to do it. It will seem very strange and awkward. Even me telling you this seems weird, right? Because nobody's taught you this before, okay? That's because nobody's teaching it. But I am, that's why I'm here, to teach you how to attain and maintain self-esteem. And those 4 things to yourself in the mirror will do it for you. So just say it, regardless of how it makes you feel the first time. And keep saying it, keep at it. Because the more you say it, the more you feel it, the more you believe it. It's all true, folks. This is not fiction, this is real. Okay. So, the reason that to have and maintain self-esteem is so important, we cannot be content without it. What content means is you feel good about how, where, and what you are. It's also known as internal peace. Okay? There's 11 things that people are using to try to be content, get internal peace. And they are Facebook, which I call fake book, drugs, alcohol, sex, food, religion, gambling, television, material possessions, people, or money. 11 things, right? Those 11 things are known as externals. They are outside of yourself. They will make you feel good, make you feel content temporarily, but they never last. And you all know what I'm talking about. Just the 2 of them, the drug high wears off, just like the alcohol high wears off, or, the warm, fuzzy feeling. So you have to do more of it to get more warm, fuzzy feeling from the alcohol, or you have to get more drug to keep the high going, okay? And the rest of the 9 things, including Facebook, are the same thing. It feels good on Facebook to have somebody like your post, right? But that feel good always goes away. And then the other 8 things are the same way. So, the other reason that self-esteem is so important to attain and maintain is we can't love without it, and we can't be loved. That warm, fuzzy feeling, or that warm feeling that you had, that good feeling that you had towards that other person, you mistake it as love, okay? And when you don't have self-esteem, you'll attract somebody that doesn't have it. So you'll marry them or don't marry them. You just get together, right? Whether it's a man or woman. And then after that good feeling goes away, you think you're out of love. It takes a while, for that to go away. But so then what happens in the relationship I'm talking about 2 without self-esteem, the fights and the arguments start, the name calling, the cheating on each other, the secrets and all that going on, the alcohol and drug use to try to get that good feeling back, right? Try to get the love back. And then because it turned toxic, there's three things that will happen. You'll split up and get divorced if you marry them, right? And then the same two people will go jump right back in another relationship without self-esteem, and the exact same thing will happen. It's why you've had many failed relationships. It's why you've been divorced or married more than once and divorced more than once. Like me, I've been married 4 times and divorced because I didn't have self-esteem. The person I married didn't have self-esteem either. Okay? And the next thing that'll happen in relationships without self-esteem between the two people, they'll stay in that relationship forever. And because you don't want to be a failure, you're afraid to leave, you have nowhere to go, you don't want to be an embarrassment to all your family and friends, and you can't be alone. So you stay in it. And even though you know it's bad, you both know it's bad, and you use the 11 things to try to make yourself feel better in that relationship. Okay? But you sleep in separate bedrooms. The fights and the arguments go on. You don't even like each other anymore. Okay? And you complain to your best friend about that other person, right? And both sides do the same thing. And they complain to your family members about that person. But you stay in it for all those reasons, right? And then at that point, it becomes a dysfunctional family. And then dysfunctional families produce more dysfunctional families. So everything, all the emotional, sexual, and physical abuse all gets swept under the rug, which means nobody talks about it. And it's just like the big secrets and all that gets swept under the rug. And then that dysfunctional family, it just goes down the line to the children and produces more dysfunctional families. And then the last thing that'll happen in a relationship without self-esteem, the two people that have been in many failed marriages or many failed relationships will just say, screw it, and they'll exit out of the romantic scene. Okay? Thinking, well, I can't find anybody to love me, and I can't find anybody to love. So I'm just going to get out of it. Okay? So they end up alone, but they're still miserable alone. And they'll use the 11 things to try to be content, just like they were in their relationship. Okay? Because you cannot be content without attaining and maintaining self-esteem. So, there's good news in my style of teaching. If all the parties involved in all the different relationships, the toxic ones, the person that's out there all alone, if you're in a toxic relationship right now, if all parties involved would say 4 things to themselves in the mirror daily for the rest of your life, and then get this book, The Portable Therapist, and do the many more concepts in this book, okay? It will fix you in your relationships. It'll fix you, okay? And if you're in a toxic relationship and the person refuses to seek change and doesn't want help, it'll give you the strength to leave it, okay? Because none of us want to live, in a relationship where you're getting, name calling and all that's going on. I mean, what fun is it, right? Anyway, so I am teaching one lesson at a time from Dr. Susanna McMahon out of this book right here. And here's that next lesson. Why can't I keep my defenses? Lesson 35. We all have defenses. They are used to protect us from what we cannot handle. Just as the body will go into shock when it suffers a trauma, in order to protect itself from too much pain, so will defenses occur when the emotional pain is overwhelming. Just as shock can only protect the physical body for a temporary period, and then the shock itself becomes dangerous and often fatal, so the overuse of defenses also can become emotionally fatal. Dependence on our defenses can be addictive, and like all addictions, can stop us from experiencing the reality of our lives. What are our defenses? Denial, repression, externalization, rationalization, and intellectualization are just some of the more familiar ones. They allow us to explain behaviors that we do not want to deal with. They help us produce a facade for ourselves and for others when we do not want to see things or accept things as they really are. They tend to cover life and excuse the unpleasantness of our behaviors, our thoughts, and our feelings. We use them when we do not want to deal with our imperfections and those of the people we care about. We use them to avoid the fact that life is painful and death is inevitable, and that we all have a dark side, which we do not like. We have become defensive when we have to admit that we are not perfect, that life is not fair, and when we are feeling weak and helpless. The more we use them, the more we need them. As with any drug, they soon take over, and we may discover that we cannot operate without them. They become unconscious habits. What is the antidote? One of the antidotes is say 4 things to yourself in the mirror, folks, daily without fail. Okay. How can we stop using defenses that we are not always conscious of having? First, take responsibility for yourself. Accept that you're human and cannot be perfect. You make mistakes, and you have a dark side, a shadow self. Sometimes you do bad things, stupid things, and painful things. We all do. One of the great ironies of life is that people who know us best know our dark side and see past our facade. Another irony is that once we admit to our secret shadow side, it loses most of its power over us. Being responsible for yourself is one way to admit that you are aware of your faults. Because the defenses operate to avoid the pain of reality. The second way to stop needing them is to accept the pain. You cannot deny or repress or rationalize something that you admit to and accept. Acceptance produces the necessary strength to ride through the pain. It takes much less energy to admit you are in pain and to deal with the pain than it does to deny or intellectualize what you are feeling. It is not weakness to feel pain, it is human. Once you take responsibility for yourself and admit that you feel pain, you will free yourself from the need for your defenses. Defense mechanisms only work well when we are not consciously aware of them. Taking responsibility for yourself, for your behaviors, means that you no longer need to defend against yourself. Admitting your weaknesses and accepting your humanness allows you to let your defenses go. You no longer need them to protect you. You will become strong enough to deal with your pain. Becoming aware of what you are doing and when you are defending yourself is part of having self-esteem. And self-esteem means letting go, not keeping the things that stop us from knowing ourselves, such as our defenses. Wow. That's another very powerful lesson for you folks. I can be your mentor when you start going through this change, because when you do start saying those 4 things to yourself in the mirror, you will go through a change. I guarantee it. 458-232, call 458-232-5238. Call me. I can encourage you along the way. Okay? I'm going to have another lesson for you tomorrow, which is how do I learn to let go? Lesson 36. You all have a very great day out there on this Monday. I will be talking to you tomorrow.